Chapter 1: Through the Wall. It started 3 nights ago. The phrase kept replaying in my head, like a needle stuck on a broken record. 3 nights ago, around 2 in the morning, I woke to a faint creaking sound. It wasn't footsteps or knocking, more like the slow complaint of an old bed frame under someone's weight. I glanced at my phone. 2:14 a.m. The building was silent, but that wooden groan pressed through the wall. Mrs. Harlow lived on the other side. She was an older woman, maybe 60, quiet, withdrawn. I almost never saw her leave. Sometimes, when I came home from work, her door would be open just a crack, and she'd stand in the shadows, completely still, staring into the hallway at nothing in particular. That first night, the sound didn't stop. Then I heard it. A whisper. Soft, broken into uneven pauses, like someone speaking in a language I didn't know. Sometimes it shifted into what sounded like a chant, so low I had to hold my breath just to catch fragments. On the second night, the whispers came back, and so did something else. The smell. At first it was faint, sweet, like overripe fruit left too long in the sun. But hour by hour, it thickened, turned rancid, and underneath lurked the metallic tang of rusted water. I smelled it even in the daytime, no matter where I went. In the kitchen, in the living room, even outside on my way home from work. It clung to me like an invisible stain. Last night, the third night, I finally broke. I stood by my front door, ear pressed to it, listening. The sounds were closer this time, as if Mrs. Harlow was moving right along the shared wall. Then, silence. I leaned toward the peephole. She was there. Her face was so close the glass warped it into something unnatural. Her eyes were wide open, but dull and cloudy, like the eyes of an old porcelain doll. Her lips moved, whispering the same sound I'd heard for days, except this time, I understood every word. He's already inside you.
I stumbled back from the door, my pulse hammering so hard I could hear it in my ears. My apartment was cold, but sweat beaded on my neck. I waited, straining to hear footsteps in the hall, the sound of her door closing. Anything. Nothing. I crept forward again and glanced through the peephole. Empty hallway. It didn't make sense. The building was quiet enough that I'd have heard her walk away. But there was nothing. No sound, no shadow, just stillness, like the air itself was holding its breath. I didn't sleep that night. Every time my eyelids grew heavy, a faint creak or murmur would jolt me awake. Around 4:30 a.m., I heard something scrape across the wall above my bed. Not in her apartment, inside the wall. By morning, my apartment felt wrong. The smell was worse, sharp and metallic. It clung to my clothes, my hair, my skin. In the bathroom mirror, my face looked pale, my eyes bloodshot, like I'd been awake for days instead of just one bad night. I told myself I'd confront her. Just knock, ask if everything's okay. Maybe she's sick, maybe she needs help. But when I walked down the hall to her door, I froze. The wood around her doorknob was splintered, not broken like someone forced it, but worn, like dozens of fingernails had scratched at it over years. The peephole on her side of the door was stuffed with something dark. A smell seeped from the crack near the floor, heavy, sweet, rotten. I knocked once. The sound echoed strangely, muffled, as if the apartment beyond wasn't empty, but full of something soft. The whisper came again, directly behind the door. "Don't let him out." Every instinct told me to run. I stepped back, heart pounding, and nearly tripped over something in the hallway. I looked down. It was a single, pale finger bone.
Chapter 2. The Door That Breathes. I backed away from the bone, nearly kicking it down the hall, my breath coming too fast. The fluorescent light above me flickered once, twice, then held steady, though the air felt dimmer somehow, like a film had settled over my vision. I didn't touch the bone. I didn't even want to look at it, but my eyes kept finding it. Thin, pale, the end jagged as if it had been snapped clean off. I went back inside, locked the door, and slid the chain across. I didn't realize until I sat on my couch that my hands were shaking so badly I couldn't hold my phone straight. I tried to call the super. No answer. Tried again. Still nothing. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. Hello? A wet, rattling breath. Then, a voice. He's getting out. I hung up, tossed the phone under the couch, and pressed my hands over my face. It was impossible, but I swear the smell in my apartment grew stronger with each passing second, like the words themselves had carried it in. I opened every window, every vent, but the air didn't change. It was thick, clinging to my lungs. I could taste it. Around midnight, the creaking started again, louder this time. Heavy, deliberate steps pacing along the shared wall. Then, a long, low groan of wood, like something heavy pressing against her door. I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my flashlight and went into the hall. The smell out there was almost solid, like walking into a wall of rot. Mrs. Harlow's door was moving, just slightly, in and out, as if the entire slab of wood was breathing. I stepped closer, every muscle in my body screaming to turn around. My flashlight beam hit the peephole, and this time, there was nothing blocking it. I could see inside. The light cut through a narrow slice of her apartment. The walls were covered in something dark and wet, glistening as it pulsed in slow, steady waves. Shapes hung from the ceiling, not furniture, not lamps. Shapes with arms. One of them moved. Slowly, it turned its head toward me, and Mrs. Harlow's voice whispered right against my ear, though her mouth never moved. He's getting out into you, too. The door jerked inward just a fraction, and something pressed against the gap, pale, slick, jointed wrong, like a human arm that had been broken and healed in all the wrong places. I ran. I didn't stop running until I was back inside my apartment, slamming the locks and throwing the chain across again. My heart was beating so hard I could feel it in my teeth. I pressed my back to the door, listening for footsteps in the hall, for the scrape of nails or the hiss of whispers through the crack. Nothing. The silence should have been a relief, but it wasn't, because I could still smell it. Not faint anymore, not creeping in through the vents or drifting under the door. It was here, all around me. I grabbed my phone to call 911. My hands were slick with sweat and the screen kept slipping from my grip. The line rang twice, then cut to static. But through the static, under it, I heard the same wet, rasping breath and a voice. You brought him home. I dropped the phone. It landed face down on the carpet, the voice still murmuring against the floor. I kicked it away. The walls were different. At first I thought the light was playing tricks on me, but no, the paint was moving, subtle ripples rolling upward like something was pressing against it from inside. I took a step back, then another, until I hit the far wall. The ripples followed. From somewhere deep in the wall came a slow, stretching sound, wet and fibrous, like meat being pulled from bone. Then a bulge formed, just big enough to see a faint outline pressing through. A face. Not hers. Not human. The smell was overwhelming now, metallic and sweet, and so thick it coated my tongue.
I gagged, stumbled toward the kitchen, fumbling for a knife, anything to hold on to. From the hallway came a knock. Not on my door. On hers. 3 slow knocks. I froze. The hallway should have been empty. I had just come from there. But through the door, I could hear someone's shoes scuffing the linoleum, moving toward my side. The knocks came again, this time on my door. I tightened my grip on the knife. The chain rattled. The doorknob turned, not fast, not urgent, slow, deliberate, like whoever it was knew I was standing right there, waiting. Then a voice, low and warm, like someone standing inches from my ear. It's open now. The wall behind me split. Not cracked, split. A long vertical seam tore open, spilling warm, black liquid onto the floor. Fingers, too many fingers, slid out and curled around the edges, pulling it wider. I caught a glimpse inside. There was no insulation, no brick, just a wet, endless tunnel of flesh pulsing like the inside of a throat. Something moved far down in the dark, rushing forward. The doorknob stopped turning. The chain went slack, and from both sides, the door and the wall, I heard the same whisper perfectly in sync. Breathe in. The smell hit me so hard, I couldn't hold my breath anymore. I gasped, and the air burned cold all the way down. Something slid into me, fast, sharp, like claws hooking behind my ribs. I dropped the knife. And in that moment, I understood. Mrs. Harlow wasn't keeping something locked inside. She was keeping it from getting out.